Hi guys, GadgetMan404 here, and I'm just doing a flight with my Phantom 2 Vision. Now, I've been playing around with some settings. Also, the guy off had made a right bodge job with some soldering onto the motherboard. So the last few days I've been desoldering and cleaning it up, making sure that the wires were just going onto the pads and not actually onto the board, as the board is metal and it could conduct and short out, which could account for how many times it crashed on my last video. Now today it only actually did it twice. Now once was, I think it was because my battery, I've got two batteries for this, and my own battery is rubbish. So I think it's just that. This battery flew for this video is for over about 8.5 minutes ish. So it's handling itself. It's drifting a little bit. It's not super windy this morning. This is on Thursday. But it just kept drifting a little bit to the left, a little bit to the right, and then with the barometer, which they do, it bounced up and down a bit. But I think the majority of the work that I've done has actually helped. So I still think, as it did crash earlier before this flight, about 3.5 minutes in, it crashed. Well, it just, landed and flipped itself over as it does. So there's two options. I've got a new motherboard with new flight controller, but I've never taken out all of that on a DJI before, and I'm not too confident with my soldering skills, so I'm not 100% happy about even attempting it, to be totally fair. But my brother seems to think it's a dead easy job, so I've said, well, I'll drop it off to you and then you have a go at it. So he says just need soldering iron and some solder. I've got that. I will drop it off hopefully today, and he can have a look at it over the next few days. So there won't be any videos of the Phantom or the Bebop. I'm having a rest. I've had some flights today with my Bebop, so they'll be edited and probably posted later on today. But this flight video, I'm not even going away from me. If anything, I'm coming closer to me, as you'll see later on in this video. And I just want to run things by you guys of what else do you think it could be. I've changed all the motors. I've changed one ESC because the lights on that ESC would never go to green. It would always be flashing red. All the others changed to the colour they're supposed to change to, so I'm assuming that they are actually working correctly. The motors are brand new motors. They've never been flown apart from these 4 or 5 flights I've done. They've got they are the 920s or 960 kV ratings, and these motors have got feet on them, but they still fit into the housing, etc. I have got some copper tape which I'm going to put over the GPS module, which will help shield all the other electronics from the GPS. So I'll try and rule out that side of it. But it was flying well. I was only hovering it. I didn't want to go far away, so I didn't. But at the end of the day, you have to make a decision on, I didn't want to go high and far as I normally fly, because if it did fall from height, then it would be severely damaged, and I don't want to damage it any more than it already is. So please comment in this video in the description underneath. What do you guys think it could? What else do you guys think it could be? I've done the IMU calibration. I have, like I say, I've tidied up all the soldering joints because they were a bit tatty, and it's definitely working better, but maybe they need tidying up a bit more. My brother might be fitting me a new flight control board or flight control unit with a new motherboard. The guy told me he'd already fitted a new motherboard, told me the ESC was fine when it wasn't, so I don't actually take his word for it that the motherboard it may be new, but he has done such a bad job with the soldering. It's that bad, the wires are as wide as my little fingernail from the wires that come off the ESC. He's pushed down so hard on them to get them to solder that they've spread, and the pads are quite small on the motherboard. So I think before the wires from the ESCs were touching also the board as well as the actual the joint, you know, the bits that you have to connect them to. I think it was doing a bit of everything. So I have took them off, soldered them to tidy up the solder, twisted them a little bit tighter. I still think they could be made even narrower, and then if I had one of these solder guns where you can actually take out the solder and start again, because I can't actually see where the pads were because there's that much solder on them. So it's a bit of it's like a clean-up job, but I mean, it's flying. You know, this is the longest flight I've ever got with one battery, 8.5 minutes, and then it started to land itself. The lights were going red at the back, so it's probably getting to about 20% or 30%, whatever the default setting is on these drones. I think it's 30 originally, but you can change it, which I may have done. But it does seem to be working a lot better. It's drifting just because it's drifting. I'm not overly concerned about that. I'm just about to cut the lawn, so I'm trying to get the lawnmower out and do a video voiceover at the same time. So yeah, I still would like to hear your thoughts, people, on what else you think it possibly could be. But as you can see, it's staying in the air. My last few videos, 3.5 minutes, 30 seconds, a minute and a half, 2.5, 4 minutes, that type of thing, and it was flipping over. I've only had that happen once, and I do believe that was more to do with my old battery, but I still didn't want to risk the drone, because obviously new motors or a new shell, if you crack it, I mean, it's got little dinks in it now, etc. It's lowering itself now because I think it's sort of it's trying to do an auto land. That's when the battery gets a certain percentage. So I just do a hand landing. That's how I always used to land my 3X. I never used to let it actually land because they do bounce quite a bit. And that's basically it, guys. The flight was, say, about 8 minutes or so. That's the longest it's stayed up in the air since I've had this. And I think I'm on the phone now just ringing my brother to say I've had a good 7.5 minute flight out of this, to 8.5 minutes out of this one battery. So yeah, please continue to subscribe to my channel, guys. I really appreciate the support. I'm just hoping, I'd love to get to 500. I don't make no money from this. You have to make over 1,000 before your videos can even get monetized, so I can't get my videos monetized. I get more views that way. So I'm just trying to get some more subscribers, about another 13, and I'll get up to the 500. So continue to subscribe, give me a thumbs up, share, comment, all that jazz. Gadget Man 404 out.